Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Welcome. Let's bring in our audio audience. That's the Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Sisters and brothers, we're going to talk about the Son of Man. The Son of Man. One second here, brothers and sisters. One second here. There you go. There's a lot of questions about this Son of Man. And everyone's gotten it wrong. You know, Elijah Muhammad told us that Son of Man was Master Prophet Muhammad. Master Prophet Muhammad never claimed to be the Son of Man. But Elijah Muhammad was left with many books to study. And by definition, that means Master Prophet Muhammad didn't tell him everything if he left many things to study. And those are things he came up with. It's like he said that the 24 scientists was the 24 elders in Revelations. But once you understand the angel, you know that's not correct. So we're not taking anything away from Elijah Muhammad. He's the messenger of Master Prophet Muhammad. He did his job. He did his job wonderfully. We take nothing from him. But he didn't break the seven seals. He never claimed to. So he was making making his assessment of what he understood. See? So we're not going to dwell on that. But is it important to know who the Son of Man is? What it means? Well, perhaps that's a name, but I guess it's more powerful to understand what backs it. So, what supports it. Because we're told that this Son of Man would be the one that breaks the seven seals. Be the messenger of the covenant. They say will suffer many things. See, if you go in and look at the scripture, nothing these people say conform to scripture. So you say, what book are they reading? I mean, are they smoking something when they're reading this stuff? And that's the issue, because nothing that they say conforms to the scripture. And all we do is tell you what the scripture says. We don't add or subtract anything from it. Because for them to tell you that the Son of Man is Master Prophet Muhammad, and then you read the scripture, there's nothing there that remotely reflects on what we know about him and what Elijah Muhammad told us. I mean, the man will be homeless. Son of Man will be homeless, right? He'll be betrayed. You see, he would be crucified, put to death, I mean, none of these things conform to anything that we know about Master Muhammad, unless Elijah Muhammad just withheld that information. Okay? And Master Muhammad never claimed they've broken the seven seals. He never claimed that. So what we have is this big cloud, this big fog that we've been under for the last 6,000 years, and it's gotten intense. I mean, it's so intense now, you can't see a hand in front of your face. The Quran talks about that. It'd be so dark, you couldn't even see a hand in front of your face. And so that's what the Son of Man would have to break through. It'd be that piercing light that will come in intense darkness. Intense darkness. You see? It says the people in darkness has seen a great light. So he come to his people, they would be in darkness. Intense darkness. See? Because the angel is a great light. I mean, it illuminates everything. See? But you got people that are, there's a whole objective, their whole motivation, right? Their whole, so I want to use agenda is to stamp out that light. If you can't stamp it out, right, at least block it. And that's where the demons come in. See? Because they're the most effective ones to do that. Because they ease up on you. Now I try to explain this in many kind of ways. But the light is going to prevail. The problem is, how many would be lost in the darkness? That's the problem. That's the problem we're trying to deal with. Because the light was going to prevail. This new reality is coming in. It's already started. This old reality is fading. You can see it right before your eyes. They're crumbling. The economy is stumbling, right? The military is stumbling, right? They have no compass. I mean, here's a Supreme Court nominee justice can't tell you what a woman is, and she's supposed to be a woman. Can't tell you what a woman is. Yet she's going to sit on the Supreme Court and make decisions about society, and she can't even tell you what a woman is. And you think that's not a small thing? Excuse me, you think that's not a big thing? That's a big thing. See? Because that means the woman's crazy. How can she make judgment? That means she can't make a judgment about what a woman is. That's the most fundamental concept of humanity. And she can't make a decision about that, a simple decision to say what a woman is and she is a woman. Then how in the hell can you expect her to make a decision that's complex when she can't even tell you how much 1 + 1 is? Because that's what, if you ask her what a woman is, she can't tell you. That's the same thing as telling you, I don't know what 1 + 1 is. But you want to hire me as a mathematician? We let too many things go, brothers and sisters, and we start asking questions and ask for proof and facts. This whole society will crumble almost overnight. Because it's not based on truth. It's not based on facts. Though they use mathematics to rule, but it's not based on mathematics. It's not based on mathematics at all. See? But they use it. See? Now, I spoke in the previous one about religion, and I was talking, well, that wasn't the title, but I was talking about how the world is divided up into two types of ideologies. With pretty much, I guess you can say that, right? Because prior to 5,000 years ago, the world was pretty much divided up based on religion. Based on religion. See? If there was any conflict, it usually was religiously based. And then they refined the world. You heard that statement, separation of church and state? That means they separated the political out of the religious, because the political is part of the religious. The Pope was not only a political figure, but he was a religious figure. See? But the religion controlled the politics. So they separated, right? Then they took the world, they separated, and they leaned towards the political. So then the world became divided based on, from an American point of view, because they started. They separated the world, right? They defined the world in terms of politics, not religion anymore. See? And to further that, right, they invented the demons. They literally invented the demons. They went all around the world. Says the enemy has done this. He sowed the chaff amongst the wheat. The enemy has done this. Why would the enemy do it? Because they was infiltrating all societies with their seed. So you don't understand that away. They was infiltrating all the societies at the most fundamental level. At the most fundamental level. Their seed, putting their seed in all the societies which they know will be disruptive, because they know different natures will not normally coexist. Because they have two different ways of looking at things. So there'd be a conflict somewhere down the line. And when that conflict arose, they knew that their seed would incline towards them. Oh, it was genius. It was genius. So they would disrupt this peaceful, normally homogeneous, peaceful societies, right? Harmonic societies, all of a sudden became chaotic, divisive. See? Unrulable, unsustainable. See? And then I gave America the right to go in and say, well, we're going to stabilize society in favor of their seed. The ones protesting, the ones that's dissatisfied. They want a system like America has. See, they want a system, because that's their nature. See, this so-called American system, that's if you want to call it a culture, it's an extension of the devil's nature. That's what culture is, extension of your nature, extension of nature. Democracy, all this capitalism. I mean, they're predatory systems. Because America's a predatory country. They didn't get power by going in and being industrious. They wouldn't have gotten power by taking other people's stuff. Predators took this land, exterminated his people, brought us over here and destroyed us. The devil seeks to kill, steal, and destroy. That's their nature. That hasn't changed. They're still doing it. See? But right now, they have got you assisting them doing it. See? So they turned you into Negro butts, and now they have you assist them in doing their predatory, furthering their predatory agenda. Oh, you want to go and fight Putin? You want to go and fight Putin? What did Putin do to you? The enemy is the one that sent you over there. And they send you to your death. Because the struggle with America is going to become intense, and more intense every day. See? Because they're striving to survive. The winter's over and they're winter people. We're in the spring thaw and they're dying. But they're trying to stay alive. That means it's going to be more and more dramatic. They're actually be more and more dramatic and ever stay alive, because they're getting weaker and weaker every day. That means that they're going to be more dramatic in their desire to stay alive. More dramatic. Time of unprecedented trouble. See? Somebody got their back against the wall, they become very, very violent, very vicious, because they want to stay alive. They say, don't get a man cornered. In the military, they have a strat, they have a principle, right? Don't completely surround the enemy. Leave an escape route. See? Because if you completely surround them, then they'll fight harder. They'll fight harder because they feel they have no choice. But if you leave a way that they can get out, then they'll retreat, they'll run. You see? And these people backs against the wall. And now they're being making love with you. Oh, come on. We're going to do all this for you. We're going to do all that for you. We love you now. All of a sudden, 2020, all of a sudden, they love you now. Interracial marriage. You can marry our daughters. So you can be my son-in-law, my daughter-in-law. And using the demons to push that message. Because they're desperate. When you're desperate, you try to get everybody to help you that you can. And they find you, many of you, Negro butts, more than willing. See, they converted you to Negro butts about 40 years ago. It took 64 years to program you. Turn you to Negro butts. And once they program you, then you was able to produce your own Negro butts and program them, which is more effective because it was coming from you. And now we have a situation where it says half the blacks in America, right? Half are Negro butts and half are demons. See? And that's bad. See? Because Suleiman, he come, the son of man, he come and get that which is lost. That's what it says. He come to get the Negro butts. But they're all programmed. They don't realize they're Negro butts. Even though they're marked. They marked when they made you Negro, but they stamped, right? The stamp of Negro butt on you. Harold Richardson, Negro butt. Perry Sharpton, Negro butt. Mary Blackwell, Negro butt. Oprah Winfrey, Negro butt. See? No, I back off. Oprah Winfrey, demon. See? And so the fact that you still walk around with that brand on says you're a Negro butt. That's what you're saying. I'm a Negro butt. That's how they know you're still a Negro, but they know they still have you programmed. If you still wear that name, they know you're safe. They're safe because they know you still are programmed. You still are a Negro butt. So they put the stamp on everyone, say, though, right, certified that this person is still a Negro butt. And like when you buy a shirt, you got the thing in your collar, in the back to show, right, the manufacturer. And so that's the problem. Because what Suleiman has to do is he come and deprogram you. And it's proven very difficult to deprogram you. Because those demons, they're ferocious. They're ferocious. And trying to block this light and trying to stop the Son of Man. And the chief demon is Farrakhan. And he's got 2 feet in the grave, but he's ferocious. I mean, they tried to redefine what demon is, try to state who the Son of Man is. None of this stuff is consistent with Scripture. None of it. None of it. See? But that's what he's doing. Getting away with it, at least it seems so. The demons, they down with it. And they go 24/7 to carry this message. See? They tell you to counter everything Elijah Muhammad said, because Elijah Muhammad deprogrammed you. He took that name away from you, put an X there. See? And Farrakhan reprogrammed you, but he fooled you. Said, well, you take the X, put an X and Muhammad there. So all Muhammad's now. See? So you think, oh, well, you don't say, well, I'm deprogrammed because you never knew you was programmed to begin with. That was the genius of it. You didn't even know you was programmed. See? Because you got people talking around. I mean, some of you may know this. When I grew up, play soul food restaurant. That wasn't our food. That wasn't our culture. And you see these clowns walking around with braids in their hair and stuff. That's not our culture. You see people in Africa walking around with braids in their hair? That's not us. The demons set you up with this stuff. They make you think this is your culture. It's not your culture. And all of it makes you look like a fool. Hold a minute, brother and sister, after turn this alarm off. Give me a second here. Let's see. How we do this? Okay. 1 second, brothers and sisters. Back, brothers and sisters, just give me a second. Not the culture, brother and sister. And demons set you up. Deceive you, take you away from who you are. The 2 seeds of Abraham. Mm-hmm. You have a choice. This world's fading fast. They're in free fall. And try and take you with them. And the Son of Man's job is to prevent as many as possible from falling and catch as many as he can. It has fallen before they come crashing to the ground. That's who the Son of Man is. It comes from the word Suleiman. But Son of Man is supposed to be the son of David. What was David's name? What was David's son's name? Suleiman. Son, Su-O-Man, Son of Man. That's where it comes from. But you didn't know that. And sure as hell's not Farrakhan. Now they got these kids walking around, braiding their hair, and flip-flops on. That's supposed to be the fad. And they can't see. Demons set them up. Police got tired of running after these clowns. They put them in flip-flops, they ain't running very far. It's stupid. It's really stupid. That's what be cool. Some demon celebrity or something, like Kanye West, do something like that now, all doing it. Like he did his conference recently, he's only there with rain boots on. And I could understand the damn thing he was saying. Everybody, hey. They got you, brothers and sisters. They got your mind in the clouds while they concentrating here on the ground in mathematics and whooping your ass with it. And they're planning your destruction. But you don't want to hear that. Because all you're worrying about is what's happening to you right now. And one of the reasons why you're doing that because you think you don't want you have no idea what's in the future because they blinded you. Because your nature knows what's in the future. Your ancestors, right, fixed it so you wouldn't notice, so you have foresight. That's what scriptures are. They're foresight. They blinded you. They blinded you by telling you that it's past, it's hindsight. And it's a lie. 90% of the scriptures is foresight. It's future. The rest is it's not future, it's because it's just recently passed. It's recently passed. Most of it is all future. Most of it present or future. And we can prove it. And so then you have foresight, but you're blind. They're blind. When it said Jesus said, Son of Man would raise the dead and heal and make the blind see. What you thought to me? You mean be physically blind? No. It give you foresight. That's what the angel is doing, it's giving you foresight. If you accept it, you can just do an experiment. Just take the simple book Exodus. That's the simplest one out there for you. And just look at it from a point of view that is present, that is going on right now. See? And you'll see it mapped totally clearly to what's going on right now, 100%, except a little part that you don't lack. That's the Farrakhan part, the Aaron part. That's the part you don't lack. Because they got your program because you're in love with that man. And he's a demon. He's chief demon. Because if you map out Exodus, everything they say from the time of God coming, raising up Moses, right? Moses said he needed a spokesman that God said that told him he didn't need, and God got angry with him, said you don't need, but he gave him it because he insisted, so he gave it to him. And the spokesman was all right as long as Moses was around, but Moses was absent for 40-some years, and while he was absent, Aaron did turn the people backwards, had them worship the golden calf, tried to turn their hearts back to Egypt, and so forth, so on. To the extent that when Moses returned about 40-some years later, right, with Joshua, because he was one of the few that was left that even knew Moses before he left, right? They found Aaron in charge. He had people all messed up, right? He had made the people laugh and stock before the enemies. So they went forward and separated Aaron's followers from those who were Elijah's followers that was now loyal to Suleiman or Joshua. And they killed all of Aaron's followers. That's about to happen. So you follow Exodus all the way up to that point, and then you go crazy. See? It's good up to that point. See, according to Farrakhan, it's good up to that point. But then so who is Aaron then? They try to say, well, Aaron is Wallace. No, it don't fit. He was a hypocrite and a liar. I mean, he wasn't as big a hypocrite as Farrakhan is. Because at least, he was a hypocrite because he used to lie to his follower all the time. He said, oh, I believe what you say, then he get back so he could preach again. And then he started preaching that Sunni stuff and the followers throw him out. So he's a hypocrite to that point of view, but he wasn't a hypocrite as far as how he felt about things. They knew exactly what Wallace was going to do when Elijah Muhammad left. If Wallace was out on time, he was embarred. He was embarred from the nation. So how did he get in charge? That's another story altogether. So, there's a presentation that explains, goes in detail about the Son of Man. You can look at it. You don't have to be confused about who the Son of Man is. Just read it. Okay? So those of you that, of the Elijah Muhammad persuasion, you're not going to find anything to justify that Elijah is the Son of Man or even Master Muhammad. You're not going to find anything to justify that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And those of you who say, well, that's Jesus, okay, well then prove it. See, because you're saying this is, because that whole thing depends on him being away for 2,000 years and suddenly coming back. See, he made the heavens and the whole universe in 6 days, according to you, but it took 2,000 years to figure out how to get back and, brothers and sisters. I can brothers and sisters, why do you believe in this stuff? You can't prove it. And who's telling you stuff? Your enemy. He cut you off all knowledge for 400 years, all knowledge, everything. And you got 400 years of experience with them. The lies and thieves and murderers, you know that. That's how they got this land, how they got powerful. But you just trust them, especially with religion. You think they know God? You think God is supporting this stuff? If it is, what God are you talking about? Satan? Must be. Because Jesus said Satan is the God of this world. See? But Son of Man is not God. Because you always see God talk to Son of Man. He's the high priest. See? He's the high priest. See? He'd be like Melchizedek. See, because you got to look at that Melchizedek again. See, you not read that right. Read Hebrews. It says Melchizedek has no beginning of life, and that means he's still around. I mean, they make it clear. Say he's a man. They said it in detail. Literally, he's a man. But Jesus would be after order of Melchizedek. So there's two, because if Melchizedek, he doesn't die, he's still around, right? So he's the God. If Jesus is going to be after his order, that means he's the supreme one. If you understand this, well, I mean, I'm not going to try to really break that down for you, but just on the surface of it, right? See? That shows he's a man. Now, Elijah Muhammad said, well, son of man means son of a man. Well, but read the scripture. If you are of the scripture, read the scripture. If you claim you are a Christian or whatever, read the scripture. Stop going for these people that's telling you what it means. I'm not trying to tell you what it says. I'm just trying to tell you to read it. Because if you read it honestly, you will not be deceived. If you read it honestly, it's like chapter 20 of Revelations. If you know anything about history, you know that's not something in the future. That's European history. That's European history. Europe was thrown. I mean, that's anybody that has any history, knowledge of history, know that Europe was in a dark age for 1,000 years. They call it dark age or the medieval. Why do they call it medieval? Think about that one. For 1,000 years. That was just Europe. That wasn't the rest of the planet. The rest of the planet was thriving and prosperous during that time. But how was they forced? How was they locked up? It was locked up by the resurrection of Abraham's Islamic empire. Because Prophet Muhammad, he just resurrected Abraham's Islamic empire. They don't want you to know that. They want you to think Abraham was somebody else. They don't want you to know that Abraham built Mecca. He built Medina. He built the Kaaba. Started the pilgrimage. That's what Abraham's doing. But they can't tell you like that because they got you thinking, well, oh man, Islam is a moon god and all this stuff. Well, Sunnism is, right, it's been corrupted. See? So, I mean, you can't be called my Prophet Muhammad responsible for that. You understand? But this is resurrection. If you read chapter 20, that was resurrection of Abraham's Islamic empire, which kept withdrew the Europeans into Europe, pushed them back into Europe. They pushed them back into Europe and kept them locked down for 1,000 years. That's known. That's a historical fact. And the reason why I don't want you, it said in after 1,000 years, they would come out and there'd be two primary ones that would cover the whole world. There'd be two primary European empires, global empires that would cover the whole world. There's only been two. That's the British Empire and the American Empire. That's Gog and Magog. That's who they are. It tells you right there. That's why they don't want you to see chapter 20 as foresight. They want to see it as hindsight. You see? Because at the time Jesus gave the scripture, it was foresight. It's hindsight now. So now they're telling you it's foresight. Now they're telling you that's foresight. That's in the future. Because it's happening right now. And they said they would see the whole world. Because if you broke down chapter 20, look at it honestly, you would not be deceived by these people. Because you know who the devils are? You know who Satan is? Because those ones got locked in the pit. Then you know that the Prophet Islam of Prophet Muhammad, the resurrection, that was the one that locked them up. So in other words, your mind will be set straight. You have a compass. And once you got a compass, then you know which way is north, south, east, and west. But you don't have that. You don't have a compass. You have what they're telling you. They're telling you what's good is bad and what's bad is good. What's evil is good and good is evil. It tells you what those that say evil is good and good is evil. And that's what they're doing. But how did they get this country? Did they come over here and they come over here and they was invited over here, and they just loved them so much, just gave it to them, or they take it, steal it, and eradicate all of them. Now, is that the works of Satan, or works of God, or righteous God? Which one is it? And then they brought us over here to seal the deal and destroy us as a people. Took 64 years to turn us into 64 years to turn us into Negro butts, which most of us remain the same. But I tell you, if you see someone walking around and they got a devil's name, they're Negro butt. Period. Unless they're a demon, they're either one or two. They're a demon, and if they're a demon, that's their name, because the devils are their daddies. But they're not a demon, they're a Negro butt. Period. I don't care what they say, because I don't listen to any of them. They come to me, talk to me, and their name is Jason Richardson. I had nothing they can say I'd be interested in. Nothing, zero. Because they don't even know who the hell they are. They don't even know who the hell they are. They're Negro butt. They're programmed. They're programmed. They don't even realize they're programmed. But that program is about to be short-circuited. Because the truth has been out there. Look, the spring, summer sun has been rising higher and higher and higher. And it's melting the winter, these winter people. Their fortresses, Fortress America, all melting. See? And so it's supposed to be throwing you out. But the more it rises, the more you grab onto the ice people. See? Now, interracial marriage. You know, I go to the gym and almost all the Negroes come here, Negro butts come here. They got a white, a winter person on their arm. So how in the hell can you throw out if you grab and hold to icicles? Hold on to blizzards, ice blizzards, snowmen. And that's the problem. See? Because they want to keep you frozen, freeze you to death, frostbite. So if they can't freeze you to death, then you come into the spring, when spring comes in full force, with no legs, no arms, crippled. Not to mention they all this thing they're doing with this plague and everything, they're setting you up for parting gift. See? It's not supposed to be effective, kick in, right? For a while. And then you find out 5-10 years later, right? Now you're sterile, can't have any children. It's a parting gift. Don't get it twisted. Be not deceived. They got plans for you. They're not gonna let you get away. They're not gonna let you get away. They hate you with a passion. They showed you that for 40 years, and now you're loving them. Why are you loving them? They're taking you to your death. And you have a choice. They have no choice. Ice has no choice. It melts under the sun. It has no choice. Only thing it can, it depends on how hard it's frozen, that's long as it can last, but eventually it will totally melt under the sun. They have no choice. See? But you do. You can either stay frozen or you can be thawed out. You have a choice. They don't. And their choice is to keep you frozen like them, right? Frozen to death. Because you can't hear this message if you're clinging to them. You're clinging with the winter people. Because you can't even talk about this to them. You can't go around this kind of message. How are you going to talk to them? How are you going to call the winter people, hey man, you're a devil. And America's going down. You can't talk that. They don't want to talk that. You can't talk that around them. You still can't talk on your jobs. You know, you can't speak to people because they look on the internet, see you talking that kind of stuff, and then you lose your job and everything. You say, so you can't talk about that. See? So that means you're not getting any summer sun, no spring sun. All you're getting is the cold blast, right, of the winter. It's keeping you frozen. See? And we trying to thaw you out. Throw you out this glorious spring. Went through 600 years of intense. We went through 6,000 years of intense cold. But this next 600 years was like the worst. I mean, it was, whew. Ice Age. See? 600-year Ice Age. Where we almost all froze to death. But the winter people, they thrived. See? Because the winter people, they're empowered by the cold. The enemy, the winter is the sun. See? They block the sun and they thrive in the cold. They build their big ice fortresses. America's an ice fortress. See? Solid ice. Impregnable. Invincible. See? Omnipotent. That's where they present themselves. And nobody could do anything with it. We couldn't do anything with them. Because we spring people. So we sit there all frozen, shivering. See? Frostbite. Some froze to death. While they were thriving. Not only them thriving, they're demons' children. See? And so they, as example, oh man, if you be like us, man, you can be successful too. You never could be successful because you could not stand the cold. You could not stand it. But they told you, hey, if you keep doing this, the little energy you got, right? You just go out there and pick that cotton, boy. You can be like Oprah. You can be like Denzel. See? You never could be like them. The ice people, they were thriving. I know when I lived in Chicago from 70 to 83. I was there with Elijah, but from 70 to 77, 75 to he left. I stayed until 83. And I used to jog along the lake, right? And it gets cold in Chicago. Oof. And I know it was like one day must have been about 5 below. But and I hate cold. Oh, I hate cold. But I know the power will keep moving. And so I wouldn't even think about the cold. You stick your toe in the water and say, oh, if you do that, you won't jump in. I just jump in. So I just put my clothes on, I'm dressed like an Eskimo. I just go out. And I'm run down Lakeshore Drive one day right along the lake. This white boy come running by me. I must have about 5 layers of clothes on. I look like a polar bear, right? I got so much clothes on. This dude come running by me with nothing but a pair of shorts and a jogging shirt. You see? They're winter people. They thrive in the winter. But now it's your time. And we're trying to throw you out. And they tell you, no, come with us. We're going to give you reparations. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. See, we're going to give you money. We'll give you free money. See? And you thought that was now all that free money they gave you a year ago? Where is it now? See, now you're paying twice as much for a loaf of bread. They didn't give you nothing. Oh, you going to keep falling for tricks, brothers and sisters? See? They have nothing to give. They're going to war now, right? So they can find a way to circumvent their debt. Because if they prevail in war, that means there's no debt. I talked about this earlier. They're desperate, brother. We can talk about this all kinds of ways. They're desperate. That's part of the reason why they're going to war. And this war thing in Russia, that's not really a war. Russia and Ukraine, right? That's not, and Mr. Minstrel Farrakhan stuck his foot way up his ass because he's talking about, hey man, this is going to spread and then they're going to come and crucify me. First of all, you already been crucified, fool. What do you think disembowelment is? Shitting and pissing in a bag. Any man I know of would rather be crucified than be disemboweled. See, because you can't reverse that. Now you can pull a person down off the cross, heal them. They might be nailed, but those wounds will heal. But once they disembowel your ass, that cannot be. Ain't gonna be no transplant. You gonna get some ball transplant, get some pig ball transplant. Because they trying to transplant pig hearts into people. These people are totally sick. They're desperate to stay alive. I mean, there's something to that. I mean, they see by their desire to stay alive. See, that's what's the word I want to use? That's well, in other words, well, I can't think of what I want to use. Let me try to say it another way, right? And this is really not what I want to say, but that shows they love this creation. See, so it's like they love the God because they want to stay alive. They want more of this. You see what I'm saying? They love life more than we do. You understand? No, credit. That's a credit to God. Credit is creation. But it ain't their creation. And we don't want them. They can't stay around. The fact that they love it so much show it's a credit to us. Because we create all this. See, but they want to take it away from us. See? And some of you would let them do it. And they would if the God, right, wasn't going to intervene and short circuit your programming. See? And Son of Man, Suleiman, wasn't here, right, to guide you out of here. Because that's my primary purpose, is to guide you out of here. See? Master Muhammad's going to open the door, but I got to guide you through it. See? And I got to certify that you go to that door. See, because you got to go be checked out. You got to be certified to go to the door. He's going to open the door. He's going to short circuit your programming, open that door, and I got to guide you through it. Because you don't know how to get out. You don't know where to go, how to get out of here. And it says, I'm the way, I'm the only way. See? I'm the light. That's what, that's what Suleiman saying in the scripture. He said you have to be in the Lamb's Book of Life. So Master Muhammad's opened the door. But you need the high priest to guide you through it. And we tell you don't have to be here. You have a choice, brothers and sisters. Farrakhan tell you don't have no choice. You have to stay here. We ain't going nowhere. Because he's a demon. He wants you to stay here. Because first of all, he got two reasons why he wants you to stay here. First of all, once they took us out, once they broke chain slavery, they did it because they didn't need us anymore. That's the whole story about going from the agricultural age to industrial age. I'm not going to go into that here. They didn't need you no more. That's why they freed you. They didn't give you anything. You was homeless. You had no food. You had no access to food. You had no access to money. You had no access to anything. You couldn't read. You couldn't write. Could barely talk. And they threw you out on the streets like that. That's what I call a cruel joke. And so how did you survive during that period? Somebody need to do research on that. How did you survive during that period? You had no place to go. You couldn't stay on the land. Because man said, you got to get off of here. So any place you went, it was another plantation. You couldn't be caught there. And who's going to where you get the food from? You couldn't buy it. You had no money. Where you get your clothes from? How you going to feed the children? See? That's how he left you. Cruel joke. See? That's where he left you. He had nothing. So, the thing is, you have to be guided out here, brothers and sisters. And some of you want to stay here with Master. It's like someone went back and said, hey, Master, can I be a sharecropper? That means he would return himself back to the chains. Because once you were a sharecropper, it was the same deal you had before. Only thing, he gave you money so you can buy that raggedy shack. So you can pay rent in the raggedy shack, buy that shitlings that he was feeding you. Because that's what it was, shitlings, and so forth, so on. So it was the same different thing, but they just said you was free now. So he's still raping you and killing you and everything else he was doing. So that's my job, to get you out of here. That's what it's about David, Daniel, in the flame, in the furnace. He had to get his people out of there. They was in the furnace. He had to get them out there safely. While they're in the furnace, and to get them out there safely. That was his job. See? And those that listen, they will be out here safely. But if you want to stay here, you can stay here, brothers and sisters. Because this place is getting hotter and hotter every day. If you stay, you're going to get burned up. See, Farrakhan can tell you, no, you ain't going nowhere. See? And like I said before, I lost my thought, brother and sister. Right? He had demons had two purposes for that. Deceive you, but the other purpose, because, like I said, when you was in the field, they was living off of you. Because Master, remember, they're predatory. America's a predator. Europeans are predatory people. They also makes them parasites. And they lived off us. for 400 years. And the better they did, the better the house Negroes did, because that was their children. See? The better they did, so they was all living off of us. But when your chains was broken, when they let you go, they didn't need you anymore, then the house nigga said, wait, hey daddy, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? So he said, well, you ain't gonna live off of us. We're not gonna support you. You know, you ain't gonna stand here, house niggas, we ain't gonna pay for you up in here, we don't need you. You can live off of them. And that's what they've been doing, they've been living off of us. The demons been living off of us for the last 100 or so years. They were living off us before, right? But under master's control. But now they're living off us directly. The politicians, the celebrities, the rich and famous, right? The athletes, see? The whatever. The actors and see, because they're in mass house, that's why it's successful. Because this is their reality, this fake reality, but they're successful because remember, in the wintertime, the winter people are successful. So you won't be. But they tell you, hey, no, you just listen to us, you will be. And they tell you that it's never going to happen. So that's the two reasons. See, the main reason to keep you here, because if you go, they die. Because Master said, I ain't going to live off us. See? You see that story in Mark. Because you have the demons living off. See, they try to redefine that Sunday. Try to find the demons as, oh, it's a personal defect. No, you better read Mark again. They were people. See? And Legion was the main one. He was the leader of them. See? And they was living off of the original people. And Jesus called them out. He exposed them. So what's your name? He exposed them. See? And then he disposed them. See? That's what happened. See? So then when they couldn't live off us anymore, they go back and try to live off their daddies. That's why I call them the swine. See? Because they're going to eat over there. See, that's why I call them. Say, oh, we won't go here. See, he said, please don't make me leave the country. That means he didn't want to leave. They didn't want to leave. They want to stay here with swine daddies. See? But they use swine because that's something they eat. So he says, okay, you go. So send us over with the swine. See? And they went over to the swine because swine was happy by themselves. They said swine was peaceful, grazing. But once the demons came over there, they got to fighting and run up the cliff together. Because swine, you ain't gonna eat us. You not eat us. See? Because that's they was eating the man. Now they want to go back and eat with their daddies. Live off their daddies. No. They got to fighting. And that's how it's going to end. Because these demons, that's how they're going to end. See? When we leave here, that's the locust plague you see in the angel. When we leave here, they're going to go to fighting, right? It'll be 5 months. 5 months they're going to be fighting. Because America had 1 year of total destruction, total unprecedented trouble. And 5 months later, there's going to be a struggle with the demons. Until they finally wipe the demons out. But demons will take a lot with them. Because we're going to be gone. So we don't want them. See, Suleiman, Son of Man, he's going to separate them out. Once the abomination of desolation takes place, that means false Israel was taken down, which is not supposed to happen. That proves that they're not the seed of Abraham, that we are. It's going to be chaos in this country. Total mental chaos. It's going to be total mental paralysis. Because their whole mentality is based on that they somehow the spiritual seed of Abraham, right? That we came from Noah, right? And we was cursed black and cursed to be slaves. See? And then because Elijah, they say, well, the Jews, right, they true seed of Abraham and set them up over there as a return to prove that they see Abraham because they returned to the return home. See, they set the whole thing up to keep their mind in order. See, as a safety blanket, keep their mind in order. They set all this up. See, this happened in 1948 because we're told the scriptures tell us when this would happen. It says because it would happen. The Christ and Antichrist would come to exist at the same time. Because that's the mathematics of it. See, we say we talk about mathematics. They don't know. They don't understand the mathematics of Scripture. I talk about the mathematics all the time. See, because when you're at 0, then you can produce a 5, but then you have to produce a -5 because -5 plus 5 is 0. So if you're at 0, if you produce a 10, you have to produce -10 to balance out. That's where Antichrist come about. So we're at 0 energy deprivation at that point. Our energy deprivation period lasts 50,000 years and came in 1948. So we was at 0. Before it was negative, now it was at 0. So then Suleiman comes into existence, right? He conceived in 1948, and his conception produced Antichrist. He's the Christ. His conception produced Antichrist to balance it out. That's what. So it tells you when you see a star rising in the east, that means if it's in the east, he must be in the west. See, so the Christ would be born, conceived in the west, while Suleiman be conceived in the west, right? False Israel, that's the star that rose in the east. They set it up. They didn't come to existence by God's hand, the hand of God. That's what said when the true seed of Abraham returned, they returned by the Spirit of God. But it said when false Israel returned, they would return by the king of Persia. See, you think Persia is talking about Iran? No, that's code. That's part of the seal. Because when you told Daniel, Persia is really America. See that the book is coded, so it means you can't read it directly. That means it's not going to be what it says on the first surface. So it says the false Israel will become by the hand of the king of Persia. And that's what it is. America and Britain is the one set up. Because they was trying to counter what Elijah Muhammad said, that we're true to Abraham. So they set it up. So let's keep their minds sane. So now they can say, all right, we're good people. Because we didn't do anything. We enslaved those people. They was cursed to be slaves. God said they was cursed to be slaves. It was cursed black and cursed to be slaves. Because they Ham. They seed of Shem. That's what they was telling out their children. Now they're talking CRT. That's what they were telling their children for years. Hundreds of years. Now they're talking, I don't know. Now it's a theory. What they did to us was no theory. See, they don't want to talk about it. They want to tell their children what they did. See? You understand? So, they're going to tell, we're Ham, so they didn't do anything wrong to us. See? So they're good people. They following God's will. See? America's a promised land because they just spiritually Abraham. So they kill all the inhabitants. That's all right because this land belonged to them. And the Old Testament told Joshua, anybody that's on the land that don't want to get off the land, get rid of them. See? So they was following God's law. See? So therefore they can say, see, we good people. That's why they think that. They think they're good people. See? But if it turns around that we choose Abraham, because remember it says, he who cursed Israel will be cursed, he who blessed Israel will be blessed. So if we choose Abraham, because they blessing false Israel over there. You better read chapter 13 again about the 3 false Israel, the 666. See? So they blessing them and cursing us. But if it turns out that we choose Abraham, that means they've been cursing us. That means they're going to be cursed. They have been cursed. And their curse is going to be continued. But that shatters the whole thing. Because if we choose Abraham, that means they wasn't doing God's will. They were doing Satan's will. They were destroying us. They cursed because of it. And that this ain't the promised land. That they were genocidal maniacs. They came over and killed all the people and stole this land. See, then they can't see themselves good people anymore. They don't want that. Because these people are desperate to think they're good people. They're desperate to think they're good people. They're not. They're evil. They're devils. That's why he got Farrakhan to stop calling them devils. Please stop calling us devils. And he went along with it. Because he's a demon himself. He's a devil. See? So when that mindset is shattered, these people go crazy. Men's hearts failing for fear of those things coming upon earth because the powers of heaven will be shaken. Well, how would they know the powers of heaven be shaken if they couldn't see heaven? Heaven's the Middle East. Who has the power in America and Britain, false Israel? That means their powers will be broken. America and Britain can be thrown out, and false Israel is going to be alone, under siege, and taken down. And when that happens, which is not impossible to happen if they choose Abraham, when that happens, that means we have to be true to Abraham. That whole mindset that they had, they just deluded themselves, comes crashing down. And the only thing they want to do, they're going insane, they have to take and reset it. They have to find a way to reset it. And the only way they can reset it is get rid of us. They have to immediately get rid of us. They would say, when you see it, flee. The call can go through the evangelical community like you wouldn't believe. You're going to see, brothers and sisters, you're going to get another warning, a bigger trumpet sound than you hear now. But they're going to come at you because, like I gave you an analogy, if you've been all your life and you ugly as hell, but you never seen a mirror and everybody's telling you you're beautiful and you never seen yourself, so you walk around, you think you're great. You know, you dress nice and everything, you think you're great. Until one day you just walk to a mirror and then you realize, oh, the truth, the first thing you want to do is get rid of that mirror. And we that mirror, because we the truth. And they're going to immediately wait, because that's the only way they can reset their mind. Because if we only exist, remember, because if they get rid of us, that means we can't be a true seed of Abraham either, can we? Because you can't get rid of the seed of Abraham. So they got rid of that one, right? And they've been saying before that, let me back up and then we'll close this out. See, they was oppressing the people that claim to be guilty of identity theft, that stole identity, false Israel. They was oppressing them for 1,000 years because they say they was Christ killers, right? So they claimed they was a spiritual seed of Abraham. That went on fine, right, until the 1930s. Until Elijah Muhammad said, no. See, because they say they were spiritual seed of Abraham. I said, no. The true seed of Abraham is these black people here you're oppressing. And we had the proof. We had the history, everything. You got 40 years, well, nearly 40 years at that point. And that was the problem. Because at that point, the people, they said that they had lost the right to be a seed of Abraham. They gave them the right to be the spiritual seed of Abraham. They was killing them. Because they was burning them up in 40, they was burning them up in chimneys. That was the final solution to get rid of them. See? So, because at that point you only had two contestants for the spiritual seed of Abraham. You had them, the people that call themselves Jews, as it says in Revelation. People that said they call themselves Jews, but not synagogue of Satan. It tells you right there. It said they're not Jews, they're synagogue of Satan. So there was two contenders for the throne. Them and Europeans, which are Europeans actually, see, because there's actually 12 tribes. And the reason why they call it Jews, because they was the top tribe, Judah. That's where the word Jew comes from, Judah. See, and the other 11 tribes, they was the ones that fell away, and that's the Europeans. But they're all some same family. See, so they said the Jews, because they went against Jesus, they lost the right. So now the other Europeans, they were spiritual seed of Abraham. That's the way it went. And then they decided, well, so you had the two contenders, right? The Jews said, no, we the true, we by birth, right? Birthright. And the other ones say, no, by spirit, by spirit, we became spiritual seed of Abraham because we accepted Jesus. So you had two contenders. So they was getting ready to get rid of each other. See, so they were getting ready to wipe out ones. There's going to be one, just, that's it. And then Elijah Muhammad came and says, no, we got another contender, the true one. We got the proof and everything else. And we had the proof. He had the proof. And so now you got three contenders, right? Now, they was in the process of getting rid of one already. They was burning them up in Germany. See? And so they had to take it and neutralize our claim. And so they stopped burning them up because they was hating them for 1,000 years, right? They was burning them up, hating them for 1,000 years. And all of a sudden, their shit became honey, and everybody was eating the honey. All of a sudden, overnight, they started loving these people after they hated them for 1,000 years. You got to ask yourself why that happened. And they was literally burning them up, and nobody gave a damn. America was more anti-Semitic than anybody. They had this preacher, I can't think what his name was. He was the most popular priest in America, and all he was fire, man. He was fire and brimstone against Jews. He had big rallies and everything. He was the most popular priest in America. And they didn't try to stop them from burning up the people over in Judea. They didn't try to stop that. They didn't bomb not one concentration camp where they was burning them up. See, but all of a sudden, overnight, they love them because they was trying to counter what Elijah Muhammad said. So they had to have people return right? 1948, returned. The British America put together, had to return so they can prove that they the true seed of Abraham. And they gave them all kinds of money, everything, support, everything to make sure that they stay there, they're successful because they can't be destroyed. So America put everything, its credibility, its wealth, its military, everything behind them. See, to neutralize our claim. See, so that's where the confusion came because now, well, if they're going to be the ones, then see. So you had some evangelicals that had a problem with that because they knew what it meant. Because that means if they the one, then they wasn't the spiritual seed, right? And they know what that meant because I've been telling you, because that means they were thieves and robbers. So they whitewashed over that one. They just let it go and kept saying, okay, so we can be the spiritual seed and they can be the real seed. See? And so they proceeded with that. They know it's a lie, but that's what they did. See? So that's how you got that situation. So now you got three contenders. So they pushed us back, see, because they made sure, they went out their way to make sure that we were not a credible contender anymore. See, because they stopped preaching and talking about the Abrahamic covenant. Most black folks have no idea about the Abrahamic covenant. They stopped preaching talking about it, right? See, after Elijah Muhammad's departure came, they had Farrakhan say, no, we ain't going nowhere. That means the Abrahamic covenant doesn't apply to us. Because that's the whole purpose of the Abrahamic covenant. That's the whole purpose of Master Prophet Muhammad coming here. That's the whole purpose of Elijah Muhammad's mission for 40 years. That we're going home, that we're true to Abraham, that we're going home. But he said, no, we ain't going anywhere. That means he called Master Prophet Muhammad a lie. His whole mission was worthless. Elijah Muhammad's a lie. His whole mission was worthless, right? That's what he's saying. If we ain't going anywhere, that means we don't have any choice. We got to stay here. And if we got to stay here, that means if you're logical and you're practical, that means if you only got a choice, then you got to go for the American dream. You got to do the best you can. You got to serve America because you want to make the best for your family and everything, right? You see what's going on here? So that's what he did. And then Elijah Muhammad talked to Martin Luther King. He went and talked to him, and he encouraged him about the Abrahamic covenant. And so Martin Luther King gave a promised land speech. Read that speech. He was talking about the Abrahamic covenant and going back home to the promised land. And they blew his brains out the next day. They told him, don't do that speech. And so you don't hear about it anymore. They squashed it. See? Because you're supposed to believe that false Israel over there is Abraham, is the true seed of Abraham. And you believe in that. All you Negro butts believe in that. Because you don't know your history, you know who you are. So you're supporting that nonsense. So now they only have no contenders. See? They neutralize our. And now you got Suleiman come along. See? The real son of man, he's telling you, no. He's trying to wake you up, and they're doing everything they can to squash it. They've tried to eliminate me several times. See, one recently. But the message will go out. See, the message is going out. See? And they don't want to be successful because they eliminated me. Because, ooh. See? I mean, I'm just saying they might do it, but what will come immediately after, they wish they hadn't done it. See? So now you got false Israel over there. That's the ones holding up their mentality, their sanity, right? That they're the spiritual seed of Abraham, that America is the promised land, that we was born to be slaves and everything else. So they're good people. They following God's law. But now false Israel goes down, they back to square one again. Because now we the true seed of Abraham, right? All of a sudden, the whole mind is shooken. It's a big shock waves, right? The mind is going to a big catatonic, right? Stroke. Have a massive mental stroke across the nation. See? Because they have to face reality that they ain't going to heaven. They ain't no heaven anyway, nothing out there. They devils, they no good. They genocidal maniacs. They rapists and murderers. They don't want to think that way, but now they have no choice. So the only thing they can do, because remember when false Israel goes down, that's the only that's seeing that mirror. The only thing they can do is to get their mind back, right? Because it says men's hearts will be failing for fear of those things come upon the earth, right? Because the powers of heaven be shaken. Just think about that part. That means they're having heart attacks in anticipation in anticipation, not because of actual reality, but the anticipation of it. So what would happen when the actual reality, they confront with the actual reality, if their hearts are failing from the anticipation of it? That just tell you the mindset they're going to be in. This trauma, the anxiety, the shock. See? Just think about that. Having strokes. See? Not just heart failure, but strokes. Because that's going to be too much. Because they were living back then, oh man, we're good people. America's the light of the world. And all that stuff. And all of a sudden it comes to reality. They see that mirror. Damn. See how ugly they really are. And the only way to do is get rid of that mirror. And we that mirror. And it says, that's why it says flee when you see that. It's not talking about flee from the army. Not flee from the police. Because if that was the case, you'd have time to go back in your house and get a coat. You have time to get your baby. You don't have time for those things. It says flee because your next door neighbor's the one's going to kill you. Going to come and cut your throat and blow your damn head off. Because they're doing damn crazy. And the only way they can get their sanity back is eradicate you. Because if they eradicate you, that means they get back to square one again. They the true seed of Abraham because they got rid of, false Israel's gone. So they're not a contender anymore. And if they get rid of us, because that proof that they must be, because you can't get rid of the true seed of Abraham. They got rid of us. That means that's proof that they the truth, that they the spiritual seed. Case closed. And they move on into history. See, and all this came, like I said, this came underscored in 2020 because that made Abraham come in HD, full Technicolor. See, 5G if you want to say it. Because 1619 to 2019 is 40 years. 2020 will be a plague that will kill the firstborn, which is elderly, and pass over us, the true seed of Abraham. It didn't pass over false Israel, but it's passed over all the black countries. Check WHO, World Health Organization, they published a paper about a month or so ago saying that black Africa wasn't being affected by this so-called plague. Haiti wasn't being affected. That's why they killed the president down there, because they wanted to force him to take those shots and stuff. See? But they tell us we were dropping like flies. They ain't talking about that anymore, are they? Because that was a lie. The demons may be, but not us. So that put everything in the focus. Okay, that made it really real. See, that put it on top of their agenda. See, so now everything is moving full speed ahead, and you see and America's under all kinds of, excuse me, brothers and sisters. America's falling apart. They had to speed up their. And now that's why they're desperate to make this deal. See? They're trying to keep false Israel getting in the war. They don't want this war over there. Because they listen to this message too. And they don't want anything to happen to false Israel over there. Because that's the whole thing. That's the cornerstone of this false reality they're telling you about. That's the cornerstone. That's the abomination of desolation. And I'm leaving you with this, brothers and sisters. It's clear. Read it. It says, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, read it. When you see Jerusalem, where? Jerusalem is capital of what? Who controls Jerusalem? The Arabs or false Israel? Who controls it? It said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, it's the capital of Israel, false Israel right now. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, it says its destruction is near. Now, brothers and sisters, if you understand that one, you understand anything. And every translation says the same thing. That means false Israel is going to be destroyed. It says their destruction is near. Not the Arabs. False Israel. It says, you see them surrounded by armies, their destruction, that means they're going to be destroyed. But they can't be if they're true seed Abraham. So when you see that, that says flee. Because when they go down, that means that you better be gone. You better be gone. They give you a chance to get the hell out of town right then. Because when they actually go down, you might not be able to make it, brothers and sisters. See? What you going to stop at the gas station? They're going to blow your brains out of the gas station. you're going to be a target on this planet, on this whole country. You're going to be a target for destruction because they got to eradicate you because you're that mirror that shows who they really are. And you don't understand, but you'll understand in a few more days. That's why it says a time of unprecedented trouble. You're going to understand in a few more days. You'll be a target. See? For destruction. And that's where the government comes in. Because the government's going to grab as many as you can, and they're going to put you in concentration camps saying they're protecting you from the public. See? That's what they're going to say. That's how they're going to do it. We put you in concentration camps to protect the public. And then once they put you in concentration camp, there's going to be a war in Russia and run in Europe, they're getting their ass tore up. They also got problems here. You got the evangelicals going crazy, right? And they're going to tell you, right? They're going to tell you, right, that if you help them in that war, right, they're going to promise you everything. Reparations, we're going to give you your own country, we're going to do all this for you, we're going to do this, right? They promise you everything because they're going to need you. And they get millions of you. That's how people are lost for lack of knowledge. They'll get millions of you. The females too, they already set this up. Now they can draft the black females. They set this thing up. Elijah Muhammad saw us coming and they set up so they couldn't draft women. They couldn't draft you at all. See, so thank Mr. Farrakhan for that one. See, because that was already set. That was the whole test case with Muhammad Ali. So because that's like the Mormons and Jehovah's don't have to be, they can't be drafted. So after that test case, you couldn't be drafted just member of the Nation of Islam. You couldn't be drafted. You see? And they wasn't drafting women, whether it was Nation of Islam or not, black women. But now these white women, when they just says, no, you got to treat women the same thing like the men and everything else, because they're not going to send their daughters. They set you up. So now they can draft the black women too. They got you sitting there running around telling you a Marine, all this bullshit. See? And Farrakhan set you up because he said, if a war comes, we're going to defend America. America belongs to us. He's already, and you got a lot of his followers in the military. So now that's gone. So now they're going to draft your ass. See, thank him for that. You in a few more days, you're going to be spitting on that clown, that pimp, that creep. You're going to be spitting on him. You're loving him now, you'll be spitting on him in a few more days. I guarantee you that. Assalamu alaikum. Let me close out with my audio brothers and sisters here. Okay, this is the Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Black Alert out. Oops. Okay, whatever. Keep doing that. Okay, brothers and sisters. Thank you for listening. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum.